for me to remember when I get out there into the new script to save these force amounts over here. Switch objects while it's compiling. It's almost done. Back to here. Oh, did I kill the exposed? Yes, I sure did. All right, Janice. Did you feel it? I felt it. All right, Janice. Please stop hacking, Josh. Good job, Josh. Good job. All right, Janice. Okay. Now, we double check my variables, force them out. We're going to go positive and negative. You know, I could actually, let's add 10 units of force into the Y. What do you guys think that's gonna give us? That's right, girl. It's Dumpster Baby. Okay, A and S are my left and right keys. Window focus. A, S. Okay. So now I can drive this thing by physics left and right. Okay, let's do this. Notice that I added a Y force to it and it did not go up. Okay, that was intentional. Come back and look at the dumpster. I froze it on that Y position. Okay, now let's do this. First, it'll settle to the world. Right? And we can't tell that it's doing anything because we moved the street. So let's go back to our main camera. Make it above our dumpster. Notice the preview down here. Point it down. Okay, now when I hit play, it should settle. Okay. Notice the camera's rocking. It's because when it's settling to the world. Oh boy. Oh, we're in trouble now. Oh, it fell. Okay, so this is the unpredictability of physics, right? So like, I put enough force on it that it started to rotate it. Here, I'm going to drive it back to normal. Let it drop. Okay, and the camera's stuck to it. So actually what we're going to do is we'll pull the camera off of it again. Oh, wait. Another thing to notice. Notice that the main camera went back to being attached to it. It's because I changed the state of it while the play button was on. Don't forget that that is a Unity feature. Okay. Now we can watch the... Because I'm not literally applying a left force or a right force, I'm applying force to the object along an axis. And it looks like it's getting a little bit of rotational force on there. So let's stop this. Let's go back. I'm going to show you a couple things. Since I want to play with the physics a little bit, let's move the main camera down in the scene slightly so that I can play with this. Let's go to the dumpster. I could freeze all rotations. All right, and now let's go back to our game scene, and it won't rotate at all. Right? That's the sort of brute force way to do this. I could also turn one off, see if that affects it. In fact, let's go back to the scene and see which one is Z. Z should be this blue one, so it's not gonna, it could rotate on Z, but it's not getting any force that way. Let's unlock X, go back to our game screen. Okay, now we can let it roll, right? But that's the extent of those constraints. It will only allow it to roll. However, we don't necessarily want our dumpster baby to... Anyway, we don't necessarily want that to happen. So we'll lock it back up again for now. And then we'll get Dumpster baby. Okay. Alright, let's turn that back off. So I think what we want to do is maybe a little bit more, a little less drag. Right, let's go by half. 2.5. I also noticed that my A and S are in reverse. This is actually, if I was paying attention to my axes, I would have seen that the force amount is in the wrong direction. There we go. A, S, it's rolling. Boom. Okay, notice how fast it settled to the ground? It seems kind of floaty, right? Okay, so who knows? Yes, Carol, you can move the object axis to a different spot, and in fact, I think that will change the physics interaction, but that is not a default Unity feature to be able to redefine where that. Well, I could do it in script and tell it to hit a different place, but I can't go into the dumpster and just move where this axis point is without doing either something in script or having an editor function that I can do that. So you're correct, it will do different things because the force will literally be applied to different points. Okay, now, what do you guys want to see next? How about let's do when the game starts, it spawns a building and the building moves past the camera. Okay, use script editor. I am going to use, this seems to be the most reliable to me, but I'm going to use an event, game event, not that one, sorry. So it's good. That's actually going to be redacted soon. Game event, graph event. We could use level load, but the way this node is written is a little bit awkward. I prefer to do graph event. And graph event is basically when this graph starts. Right. This is basically it's basically when this graph gets initialized. I'll explain initialized at another point. When this graph gets enabled, I want to spawn a. Sorry, I just brain farted. Spawn a prefab. Right? And we'll redouble this work. It's always good to see this again. Let's see, we need a game object. At this one point, we need a string variable. We don't need spawn name. I'm going to turn it off. Resource path. I could actually put the working folder in here, but anytime I start dropping strings into these fields, it always is a little strange to me. So I'm not going to do spawn game object. Let's turn that off, and then when it's finished spawning, I'm not going to do anything. All right, let's do this as building exposed to Unity. Sorry, this one is building. I'm rushing a little bit. Oh, actually, I have to go back to this one. Turn this off into prefab. Expose that to Unity. Spawn point. Expose that to Unity. I showed you the list trick, but we will actually do something now with the buildings. We will get a random building, add variable lists, game object list, right? Add action variables lists, game object list, access list. Okay, real quick, I'm going to walk through this menu over here just so you understand. I am right-clicking and that gives me add. Add is the same thing as going over here. Actions, category of what action it is. Is it an animation action? Is it an application action? Is it an asset action? Actions are different than conditions, which is usually comparisons, counters, gates, or switches. And events are things that start things off. So if you recall, back in the Sorry, not that one. This one, events are always at the beginning of the script. Delete this, delete this. This is your basic setup of what a UScript looks like. So you can even read that through this menu, which is on this event. Okay, I need that. Let's build a sentence. I need an action. What do I want to action on? I want to action on a game object. What do I want to do to that game object? I'd like to do one of these things and put it in. So in this case, this seems a little ass backwards. Access list. There is a point here. Hold on. We'll assess attach this list to it. I, on this event, want to perform an action to a variable, which is this variable on screen, right? And it is a game object variable. No, it's not. It's actually a list first, and it's a game object list, right? So you have to be able to go through this menu and find your way to what you want to do. But you have to have a little bit of that intention first. Okay, on graph enable, access randomly from this list, and then kick out the selected game object to, oh, here we go, we have a variable mismatch. I have a game object list, right, but I want to spawn a different building. This node takes a string, this node kicks out a game object. So let's duplicate, let's actually make this one building list, expose that to Unity, we'll leave that alone for now, add a new variable, game object. Okay, let's kick that out. Now, let's use the exact same thought process that I had before. I have a variable that I want to do something to, right? So, add an action, right? I want to do something to a game object. What do I want to do to the game object? I want to get a string from it, right? Because I need to get its name. So let's either look for a string or a name. Where is that in here? There's a way to do this, which is set get. Here's our get game object name. Okay. Right. Connect this game object, which is the game object that's output by the other node. Kick this name over. Connect this node. Okay. Now let's read through it. When the graph starts, on enable, access this list at random. It's this list. Access this list at random. Give me the result. This result, I want the name of that result, right? So get the object name of that, and then spawn this prefab based on this name. This is where we're going to run into why I need the resource path. But I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go back in here. And this is basically because I'm lazy. Go into my resources folder, go into working, pick my two buildings. We're just going to move them back to the root resources folder because I don't want to dick around with that other bullshit. And what we will do is now compile this. Okay. Come back to here. Get our new script, close down my exposed variables. There we go. See our prefab showed up. And there's our spawn point. Let's pick spawn point. All right, I deleted the spawn points. Create empty game object. Spawn point. Spawn left. Okay. Let's move this to somewhere in front of the camera. Let's call it at the end of the street. Is that all the way down there? Okay. Let's do, I like nice even numbers. Minus 30. 3 tall. Remember the buildings were in the floor if I didn't offset them by 3. And then Z is -4. We're going to do spawn duplicate.